Hello, I'm Claire.
Hello, I'm Nicky.
Hello, I'm Liz.
And hello, I'm Kate. And we'd love to welcome you to a collection of songs and poems that we've got for you today. We hope that the selection of songs and poems that we've put together today will brighten your day. And we also hope that you'll sing along with all the songs. The first section that we've got is dedicated to animals. And we are going to start off with a bird from the Australian bush called the kookaburra. And it's a great one because, as you know, the kookaburra is always laughing. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree.
Merry, merry king of the bush is he.
Love, kookaburra.
Hey, your life must be.
Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree.
Merry, merry king of the bush is he.
Love, kookaburra.
Yea, your life must be.
Well done, that was lovely.
Next delight is a poem by T.S. Eliot. Some of you might well have had to learn some poems, or you may just know them. You may know MACAVITY, the mystery cat. You may have cats, they're proper characters, and certainly MACAVITY is. MACAVITY's a mystery cat. He's called the hidden paw, for he's the master criminal who can defy the law. He's the bafflement of Scotland Yard, the flying squad's despair. For when they reach the scene of crime, MACAVITY's not there.
MACAVITY, there's no one like MACAVITY. He's broken every human law. He breaks the law of gravity. His powers of levitation would make a faker stare. And when you reach the scene of crime, MACAVITY's not there. You may seek him in the basement, you may look up in the air, but I tell you once and once again, MACAVITY's not there.
MACAVITY's a ginger cat. He's very tall and thin. You wouldn't know him if you saw him, for his eyes are sunken in. His brow is deeply lined with thought, his head is highly domed. His coat is dusty from neglect, his whiskers are uncombed. He sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake. And when you think he's half asleep, he's always wide awake.
MACAVITY, there's no one like MACAVITY, for he's a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. You may meet him in a by-street, you may see him in the square, but when a crime's discovered, then MACAVITY's not there.
MACAVITY, there's no one like MACAVITY. There never was a cat of such deceitfulness and suavity. He always has an alibi and one or two to spare. And whatever time the deed took place, MACAVITY wasn't there. And they say that all the cats whose wicked deeds are widely known. I might mention Mungo Jerry, I might mention Griddlebone, and nothing more than agents for the cat who all the time just controls the operations, the Napoleon of crime.
Oh, that's really good. Well done. This is a song I'm sure you all know so well, and I hope you'll sing it along with us, okay? And of course, it's How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? And that Doggy in the Window song doesn't change in all these years. It's still the same one with the same tune and the same lyrics. So here we go. How much is that doggy in the window? The one with the waggly tail. How much is that doggy in the window? I do hope that dog is for sale.
I must take a trip to California. and leave my poor sweetheart alone. If he has a dog, he won't be lonesome, and the doggy will have a good home.
I don't want a bunny or a kitty. I don't want a parrot that talks. I don't want a bowl of little fishies. He can't take a goldfish for a walk.
How much is that doggy in the window? Woof, woof. The one with the waggly tail. How much is that doggy in the window?
Woof, woof.
I do hope that dog is for sale.
Lovely.
And now we've got from the Poems of Mr. Lear, The Owl and the Pussycat, which is one of my favourites, and I think everybody knows this one. We've got from the Poems of Mr. Lear, The Owl and the Pussycat, which is one of my favourites, and I think everybody knows this one. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a £5 note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, lovely pussy, oh, pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are. You are, what a beautiful pussy you are.
Pussy said to the owl, "What elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married, too long we have tarried, but what shall we do for a ring?" They sailed away for a year and a day to a land where the bong tree grows. And there in a wood, a piggy-wig stood, with a ring at the end of his nose, with a ring at the end of his nose.
Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring? Said the piggy. I will. So they took it away and were married next day by the turkey, who lives on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon. And hand in hand on the edge of the sand, they danced by the light of the moon. The moon, the moon. They danced by the light of the moon. And my wedding cake, our wedding cake, had a picture of Mr. Lear and Foss, his cat, on it. So very special, the Owl and the Pussycat.
We've had owls and we're about to have a beautiful lark. So I'm going to sing about a blackbird. Pack up all my care and woe, here I go, singing low. Bye, bye, blackbird, where somebody waits for me, sugar sweet, so is she. Bye, bye, blackbird. No one here can love or understand me. Oh, what hard luck stories they all hand me. Make my bed and light the light. I'll be home late tonight. Blackbird, bye, bye.
I'm now going to read you a poem called The Lark, which was written by Robert McFarland and is beautifully illustrated by Jackie Morris, and I hope you'll get to see the picture of the lark as well. Little astronaut, where have you gone? And how is your song still torrenting on? Aren't you short of breath as you climb higher? Up there in the thin air with your magical song still tumbling on. Right now I need you, for my sadness has come again and my heart grows flatter. So I'm coming to find you by following your song. Keeping on into deep space past dying stars and exploding suns, to where at last, little astronaut, you sing your heart out at all dark matter. Must be my favourite song in the spring.
Mm.
Isn't that lovely?
Mm.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is. And who knows, that lark, I don't know whether they like chestnut trees, but we're going from listening to that beautiful poem, we're going to sing and do some actions to Underneath the Spreading Chestnut Tree. So if you get your arms are ready and follow and join in. Underneath the spreading chestnut tree, there I held you on my knee. We were both as happy as can be, 'neath the spreading chestnut tree. I've got a little extract here for you from a novel. I know, well, it's not a novel really, it's a memoir, isn't it? That I know that you will have read and enjoyed or had read to you at some point. It's a lovely Cider with Rosie by Laurie Lee. So if you like, you can close your eyes and have yourself transported back to the Slad Valley, to a little village before electricity, before cars, a timeless place and a child's view. Chapter 1. I was set down from the carrier's cart at the age of 3, and there, with a sense of bewilderment and terror, my life in the village began. The June grass amongst which I stood was taller than I was, and I wept. I'd never been so close to grass before. It towered above me, and all around me, each blade tattooed with tiger skins of sunlight. It was knife-edged, dark, and a wicked green, thick as a forest and alive with grasshoppers that chirped and chattered and leapt through the air like monkeys. I was lost. I didn't know where to move. The tropic heat oozed up from the ground, rank with sharp odours of roots and nettles. Snow clouds of elder blossom banked in the sky, showering upon me the fumes and flakes of their sweet and giddy suffocation. High overhead ran frenzied larks, screaming as though the sky were tearing apart. I don't know where I lived before then. My life began on the carrier's cart, which brought me up the long, slow hills to the village and dumped me in the high grass and lost me. I'd ridden wrapped up in a Union Jack to protect me from the sun. And when I rolled out of it and I stood piping loud among the buzzing jungle of that summer bank, then I feel was I born. And to all the rest of us, the whole family of 8, it was the beginning of a life.
Oh,
Oh, lovely.
I could listen to more and more and more. You read it so beautifully. Oh. Well, I'm going to read you a poem, and I hope that it'll bring back a few positive memories or happy memories about a mum or even a grandmother, let's say, who you remember wearing her apron so that she kept her clothes clean underneath, as you know. That's what we did. They did. I didn't do that. Anyway, this is called Mother's Apron. Mother wore an ample apron to cover her clean dress. She'd tell you that's what it was for if you asked her, I would guess. But that apron had more uses than I could even count. It brought in eggs and vegetables and could hold a very large amount. I've seen her use that apron to wipe her dripping brow as she laboured over the big range that's just an antique now. Her apron could bring giggles in a game of peekaboo with her newest sweet grandbaby as she hid her face from view. When we kids were hurt or crying, we'd run to find her lap. She'd wipe the falling tears away with a bit of apron flap. That apron dusted tables and shooed away the flies. It did just fine as oven mitts to take out bubbling pies. But the greatest of the treasures that old apron could hold was the endless love from mother abiding in each fold.
Lovely.
Lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I've never heard that before. It was just lovely.
It's a lovely poem, isn't it?
This is one of my all-time favorite songs. I just don't get bored of it. And it's not because it's from The Sound of Music necessarily. It's because of listening to the wonderful, recently deceased Christopher Plummer singing it. Although I have been told that that wasn't his voice, which is very upsetting to me. However, there is a recording of him actually singing it, and I don't know why they didn't use his voice, because it was lovely. But I think of the mountains, and I think of those alpine meadows and these little flowers, which, although I've been to the mountains quite a lot, I've never managed to find an Edelweiss in the flesh. And so it's always retained a sort of magic about it, because I've never actually managed to see it. Here we go. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright. You look happy to meet me. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow, bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. Lovely.
Quite beautiful.
Thank you.
This is a poem which I think we'll all respond to, because it's about how we are labelled, or how we label ourselves in a very negative way usually. And I think it's wonderful. So, because it just hits the button, if that's the right expression. Anyway, even if it isn't, that's what I think. This is called Not. You are not your age, nor the size of clothes you wear. You are not a weight, or the colour of your hair. You are not your name, or the dimples in your cheeks. You are all the books you read, and all the words you speak. You are your croaky morning voice, and the smiles you try to hide. You're the sweetness in your laughter, and every tear you've cried. You're the songs you sing so loudly when you know you're all alone. You're the places that you've been to, and the one that you call home. You're the things that you believe in, and the people that you love. You're the photos in your bedroom, and the future you dream of. You're made of so much beauty, but it seems that you forgot when you decided that you were defined by all the things you're not.
I love that. That's great.
Isn't it?
It's a positive thing, isn't it?
Yeah, very positive.
Oh, thank you.
Picking up on the mood of Liz's poem, Not, we've got Que Sera Sera, and I know everybody will know this. What will be, will be. When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be.
Now I have children of my own. They ask their mother, what will I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? I tell them tenderly. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Que sera, sera.
We've got a little poem here about lifting the mood a little to smiling. And it's a Spike Milligan poem, and I bet you've heard this one before. It's funny, and it reminds us to do something that apparently uses much more muscles and is much better for our face than the kind of, here it is, smiling is infectious. Smiling is infectious. You catch it like the flu. When someone smiled at me today, I started smiling too. I passed around the corner and someone saw my grin. When he smiled, I realised I'd passed it on to him. I thought about that smile, then I realised its worth. A single smile, just like mine, could travel round the earth. So, if you feel a smile begin, don't leave it undetected. Let's start an epidemic, quick, and get the world infected.
Lovely. That's lovely.
What could follow that smiling poem but a smiling song when you're smiling? When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing, the sun comes shining through. But when you're crying, you bring on the rain. So stop your sighing, be happy again. Keep on smiling, 'cause when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you.
This is one from everybody's childhood. I remember it very well from when I was very small, and it's the King's Breakfast in lots of different parts. In fact, I'm beginning to feel quite hungry again.
The king asked the queen, and the queen asked the dairymaid.
Could we have some butter with a royal slice of bread?
The queen asked the dairymaid said,
Certainly, I'll go and tell the cow now before she goes to bed.
The dairymaid, she curtsied and went and told the Alderney.
Don't forget the butter for the royal slice of bread.
The Alderney said sleepily,
You'd better tell His Majesty that many people nowadays like marmalade instead.
The dairymaid said,
Fancy!
and went to Her Majesty. She curtsied to the Queen, and she turned a little red.
Excuse me, Your Majesty, for taking of the liberty, but marmalade is tasty if it's very thickly spread.
The Queen said,
Oh,
and went to His Majesty.
talking of the butter for the royal slice of bread, many people think that marmalade is nicer. Would you like to try a little marmalade instead?
The king said,
Bother.
and then he said,
Oh, dearie me.
the king sobbed
Oh, dearie me.
and went back to bed.
Nobody
He whimpered.
could call me a fussy man. I only want a little bit of butter for my bread.
The queen said,
There, there.
and went to the dairymaid. The dairymaid said,
There, there.
and went to the shed. The cow said,
There, I really didn't mean it. Here's milk for his porringer and butter for his bread.
the queen took the butter and brought it to his majesty. The king said,
Butter, eh?
and bounced out of bed.
Nobody,
He said as he kissed her tenderly.
nobody,
He said as he slid down the banisters.
nobody, my darling, could call me a fussy man. But I do like a little bit of butter for my bread.
Here, here, I agree. with the
Lovely.
king.
So do I.
Oh,
Marmalade is no substitute.
no.
Now, the king loved his butter on his bread, and we've all got favourite things. And this is a lovely song that you probably know from The Sound of Music. So sing along with us to finish today. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens.
Brown paper packages tied up with string. These are a few of my favorite things.
Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that play on my nose and eyelashes.
Silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few of my favorite things.
When the dog bites,
When the bee stings,
When I'm feeling sad,
I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
goodbye everybody, and I hope you enjoyed that.
it's goodbye from me, Claire, as well. Have a lovely day. I hope you enjoyed.
and goodbye from me, and I hope you had as much fun as we did.
And goodbye from me too, and have a lovely day.
Bye.